Today, we'll review the game no one thought would ever see the light of day, Duke Nukem Forever.
Plus, a preview of the best shooter at E3, Battlefield 3, and what a real detective thinks of Noire. X-Play starts right now.
Hello and welcome to X-Play. I'm Adam Sessler.
And I'm Morgan Webb. Today, we're reviewing Duke Nukem Forever, which is weird.
Yeah, I feel like we should be reviewing this in San Francisco.
Or maybe not at all.
Coming up on today's show, one of the most impressive new IPs we've seen in ages, Curt Schilling and 38 Studios' debut game, Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. Then find out if Cole Phelps is really a good cop when we have a veteran LAPD detective play L.A. Noire.
Plus, we've got an exclusive first look at the launch trailer for Resident Evil: The Mercenaries 3D. And later, I'm going to talk BlizzCon and the evolution of World of Warcraft with Blizzard's Rob Pardo.
But first, it's time to talk Duke Nukem Forever, the game that has been in the works for 14 years. That's older than you.
After that long of a development cycle, you would expect Duke's return to have amazing polish, creative level design, and compelling gameplay.
You would think that.
Yeah.
But Duke Nukem Forever has none of those things. If you were thinking about spending $60 on this, you better watch our review. The best thing that we can say about Duke Nukem Forever is that you're not obligated to play it. The only way this game would get a 5 is if our scale went up to 100.
Duke Nukem? Yeah, my kid's a real big fan.
Nice try, but nobody under 30 knows who Duke Nukem is. After being delayed for over a decade, the real surprise of the game is how joyless it is. Advertisements promise a balls-to-the-wall, action-packed experience, but what you actually get is a dated mess that features twitchy moments, glitchy graphics, and if you're lucky, 3 enemies on screen at once.
What about the game, Duke? Was it any good?
Despite all the time of development, the only thing the developer succeeded in is crafting a relentlessly dull game that's punctuated by lame sexual innuendo.
So tiny. I know right where I'd stick him.
That dialogue is really clever. So let me make sure it didn't sail over everyone's heads. You see, Duke's been shrunk down, and the woman in the scene is implying that she would insert Duke into her vagina. That's an example of a joke in Duke Nukem Forever. It's rare that the word pathetic can be used to describe a video game, but in this case, it applies. Duke Nukem Forever is like that obnoxious guy at work who tells really lame, unfunny jokes, and everyone just tries their best to avoid him.
I'm bringing sexy back.
But stale level design is the game's worst offender. You travel down a linear path and occasionally get stalled so that waves of exactly 3 bad guys at a time can attack you.
Size only matters when you're full grown, baby.
Sure, if this had been released a decade ago, people would have been impressed by the technology. But you could say the same thing about Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. By charging $60, the game makers are directly inviting comparison with full-fledged modern releases. If this had been a budget downloadable game, it would have been an odd curiosity, but a full-price retail release is going to be considered as such. Multiplayer feels like an afterthought. Deathmatch and Capture the Babe are extremely laggy and the controls are unresponsive. Let me be clear, on those merits alone, Duke would get a terrible score. But we'd like to address one other area that's troubling, the game's creepy, hateful view of women. In one particularly disturbing scene, you come across women sobbing in the alien nest. They're naked and bound to the walls, and the implication is they've been forcibly impregnated by the alien creatures. What's really problematic and troubling is this is all played for laughs.
Duke, we'll get the weight off in like a week, we swear.
Sorry, babe. It's better this way.
I'm done with this. Here's your score. A 1 out of 5.
The first title to be released by Curt Schilling's 38 Studios was supposed to be an MMO, but then they decided to put that on hold and work on a single-player RPG called Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning instead. And I think you'll agree, this is a pretty impressive fallback plan. Here is a preview. Swords, monsters, and magic. This might sound like familiar territory to you, but there's a good chance you haven't seen it play out like this. Yep, you see, this is no ordinary RPG. You've got best-selling fantasy author R.A. Salvatore writing the lore, Spawn creator Todd McFarlane crafting the art, lead designer of Elder Scrolls IV Ken Ralston designing the world, and finally retired baseball great turned game studio honcho Kurt Schilling leading the charge. With this crack team of entertainment titans, you can bet Kingdoms of Amalur will be huge. Unlike most games where you start out with a class, Kingdoms of Amalur introduces you to the world as a blank slate. You'll invest in abilities across 3 skill trees, distributing points as you please, and along the way you'll unlock various destinies.
Please, it's my daughter. She needs your help.
These could include destinies like a magic-wielding fighter, a stealthy assassin, or even a Krav Maga badass. Shalom, mother.
You fight well enough.
Alright, maybe I took some liberties with that one, but either way, it's an interesting mechanic that will allow you to access around 40 destinies and give you the freedom to design your class as you go. In addition, you'll be able to craft items with things you scrounge along the way, and fight enemies in real time where timing your button presses will result in different attacks, much like God of War. If you're looking at this thinking the world looks strangely like an MMO, well, that's because 38 Studios had originally designed it that way.
Sword, hammer, dagger, what's your taste?
After 38 Studios acquired Big Huge Games, they decided to develop a single-player game instead.
There's the lever to the gate. Throw it.
So if you're looking to roam Amalur with your friends, plans are in the works to expand the universe into an MMO sometime in the future.
What are you doing down here? You don't belong. Wait a moment.
This project is definitely an ambitious first game for Schilling's new studio, but with such a deep bench on his side, he just might have a chance to hit this one out of the park. Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning releases sometime in 2012. Oh, drooling, it looks so awesome. Gross, right guys? Sorry about that. Coming up on X-Play, we've got a preview of the shooter that might take down Call of Duty, Battlefield 3. Plus, Morgan heads to Blizzard to talk with one of the guys behind World of Warcraft. Zombies get killed in the new trailer for Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D, and a real cop takes on LA Noire. We will be right back. Those were the ones that made it through our censor department right there. You know, we should actually give out some prizes for those things.
I think that we should.
Yeah.
You seem to have something in your hand right there. We're going to be sending each tweeter featured on tonight's episode a pair of Converse superhero shoes from Journeys.
Let's get a technical term close up. There we go, right there. We've got 4 designs right here. The Joker, Catwoman, Batman, and Green Lantern. I, of course, am taking Batman home with me.
You're not.
What?
You're not eligible.
Oh.
You can get your own pair at Journey stores nationwide or at journeys.com.
Remember, you guys, if you want to get your tweets on the show and maybe win some prizes of your own and your name's not Blair because Blair can't win anything, just use the hashtag XPlay.
Yep, let's send it over to Adam.
LA Noire features a ridiculously accurate recreation of 1940s Los Angeles. The streets, the clothes, the cars, the landmarks. Team Bondi got everything right. But what about the actual police work? We had a veteran LAPD detective play the game and tell us what's fact and fiction. LA Noire. They say it's one of the most realistic, accurate depictions of police work in video games ever.
LAPD, could you stand clear of the body, please?
They say. Is it true?
Now, do you want to tell me what really happened?
X-Play investigates. We've called in LA detective Skip Bachman to get to the truth.
Hi, I'm Detective Skip Bachman. For 32 years, I was a member of the Los Angeles Police Department. This is pretty good so far. This guy got hit. Right now, still don't see the car that hit him.
Poor guy didn't stand a chance.
The realistic part of this is the scrape of the blood on the street there.
Car must have been going like a bat out of hell.
Let's go talk to the witness right now.
I'll take the bartender. You work the rest of the room.
So this guy obviously didn't like him very much, didn't care for him or the situation that they were in.
It was busy in here, and all I heard was the impact.
So he's kind of getting like a little bit of enjoyment probably out of knowing this happened. Right in here, he's probably telling the truth.
Esther and Lorna were having a fight. The owner made him take it outside.
Detective work has changed since the days of L.A. Noire, I'm sure.
This is, 47 police work. This day and age, we don't get down and start playing with the body, especially with no gloves on.
I'd say he died on impact.
The investigation continues with the wife.
Come in, won't you?
She has, absolutely no remorse and no grief at all.
I was filing for divorce. Mental cruelty.
I'm gonna say that she's lying.
The victim was dead before the car hit him. 2 puncture wounds to the right side of the thorax.
He was stabbed to death?
Long, sharp knife.
Could this happen in real life?
If this was a case that I was looking at, my thing would be, okay, let's get back to that bar.
We just wanted to check the crime scene over one more time, Mr. Sabo.
And start jerking people out of there because you know now that the people that said that he just walked out there in front of a car are not telling the truth.
I'm sure Carruthers will confirm this as the murder weapon.
Yeah, we don't usually get that lucky. Ever. And the other thing, he's picking it up with an unprotected hand, putting his prints on there.
Leroy Sabo, you're under arrest.
Not gonna happen, fellas.
That happens in a lot of instances, and it doesn't have to be about a murder. You can stop a guy for a traffic ticket and he'll take off running because he has warrants or something like that. That's a thing that just happens. And I mean, people have gotten really hurt in this type of situation.
You look spooked, Phelps.
Bottom line, is L.A. Noire accurate?
Overall, this game is very cool. They really capture what it's like to be out trying to solve a crime with what they had and what they knew in that period of time. For that aspect of it, they really got it right.
You look like the kind of guy who notices details.
Thank you, Detective. Case closed.
Keep up the good work.
Want an excuse to dust off that 3DS? Resident Evil Mercenaries 3D is in stores this week. It gives us all the opportunity to be attacked by zombies on the go and in 3 dimensions. Here's your first look at the game's new trailer.
Mercenaries 3D.
Stick around, there is more X-Play on the way, including a preview of Battlefield 3. I fully expect this to incinerate someone's graphics card. Plus, I'm gonna get some FaceTime with one of the designers behind StarCraft 2, Blizzard's Rob Pardo. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. While the Battlefield games are technically first-person shooters, the use of vehicles is what sets them apart from the competition.
Yeah, players can actually hop in and out of helicopters, tanks, planes, and then grief the ever-loving F out of every single person.
You know what's really fun? Blowing up your own team's helicopter.
Yeah.
Just because.
That's why you and I are the only friends we have.
I know.
Here's a taste of what's to come in Battlefield 3.
I hate everyone. We live in a time of war. Is any country safe from war? Are any of us safe? But the biggest battle to be fought may be between Battlefield 3 and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 for best, most realistic war game out there. We got a look at the highly anticipated Battlefield 3 recently at E3. It appeared to have had the biggest turnout at the whole convention. People want to see this bad boy. They say it should be the biggest and best Battlefield game ever. That's a lot of hype, but it might be true.
I need you to find our Marines and bring them back safe ASAP before the PLR find them.
This first-person action shooter, set in 2014, is a direct sequel to Battlefield 2, released way back in 2005. Seems like yesterday. However, it's also the 11th game in the franchise. That's a long history. This time out, there looks to be a focus on city fighting, those dense areas of town where danger can be found at every turn. And the destruction is huge, really huge. All due to the new Frostbite 2 engine made just for Battlefield 3, thus allowing for everything to be bigger. Bigger action, bigger sound, bigger scenery. In addition, the ant animation system makes everything smoother, more realistic. One can almost feel the dust on your face, the malaria in the air. That's war. Of course, there's multiplayer, class-based multiplayer with Assault, Support, Engineer, and Recon. Some game modes will be Conquest, Rush, and Team Deathmatch. All look good in the grand scale of the game. As do the tanks storming the Tehran deserts. Tanks were studied and analyzed to make them as real as possible here. What does it feel like to be in a tank in a real war? We'll find out here.
Target destroyed! Secondary!
In the gameplay we've seen, the Operation Metro mission, Battlefield 3 will be infantry-focused at points, with different areas to unlock as the game progresses. However, the areas look to be so large, they could all be standalone maps. That's how vast this is.
Let's go, behind me!
The game actually wants to be more squad-based than in the past, and the classes have been tweaked to reflect this, with a big change coming to the Assault class. Assault has now been combined with Medic. Makes sense. Let's face it, this is big. It all feels so cinematic. Battlefield 3 appears to be one of the must-have games for 2011. We'll find out much more when the game is released in October of this year. War never ends, but it can be fun.
Blizzard's Rob Pardo has a pretty decent resume. StarCraft, Brood War, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft. Call me crazy, but I think he's going to go far in the industry. I got some FaceTime with Rob to find out what it's like to work for Blizzard and what it takes to put on a show like BlizzCon. All right, I'm here with Rob Pardo. He is Executive Vice President of Game Design. Is there a senior in there somewhere?
No, used to be a senior. Now it's just an executive.
Whatever Rob Pardo's title may be at Blizzard, there's no confusion about his successful career in game design. As for Rob's path to Executive Vice President of Game Design status, it was his early days on StarCraft and his epic Warcraft battles that paved the way.
Well, what was interesting was I was at another studio, so then when I came here at Blizzard, at first they just were having me play the game and give lots of qualitative feedback. A lot of my feedback was all about, hey, this unit's overpowered or this unit's underpowered, here's what I do to fix it. And apparently they thought my feedback was good enough that they brought me onto the strike team, and that kind of became my job.
And had you had a lot of RTS experience before then? I mean, was this like a game genre you were passionate about in general?
Oh, very much so. Actually, when I got my start in the game industry, it was back in Interplay. There was even this time period where I ended up facing off against the other top Warcraft 2 player at Interplay, and even back then, kind of tales of that match actually got over to Blizzard.
Rob's passion for Warcraft and his interest in the MMO genre was just the beginning of what would become a gaming revolution.
We were like talking for a while about this genre and how excited we were about it and how cool it would be if we could do an MMO within the Warcraft universe. And it just took a little bit of time before we started doing it, though. We had a lot of confidence. We thought it was going to be very successful. I think around the time period, EverQuest had somewhere around 500,000 subscribers, and we, were very ambitious. We thought we could double that. We thought we were going to be the first MMO that could do 1 million subscribers.
Huh, and how many do you have now?
Somewhere north of 11 million.
Blizzard's ambitious efforts with World of Warcraft more than paid off, and now each year, thousands of those fans make the pilgrimage to Anaheim for the annual BlizzCon, one of the biggest events in gaming. You guys just sold out of your last batch of tickets. It's become a huge event. Talk a little bit about the evolution of that.
So originally, the idea for BlizzCon was maybe do something like a World of Warcraft fanfare. But then there was this thinking of, well, what if we did something a little bit bigger and had something about all of our games? And everyone kind of got a little bit shy at first, trying to figure out, well, should we really do that? Maybe we should start smaller. And then I think I actually threw down in an email with some of the other execs, go, well, are we going to go big or go home? And then everyone's like, okay, we'll do BlizzCon.
So if you can or cannot make BlizzCon 2011 on October 21st and 22nd, tune into XPlay for all the highlights.
Tomorrow on XPlay, we'll review another blast from the past, the Gothic Alice Madness returns. Plus, FaceTime with the man behind Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive. Find out what's in store for his next game, Devil's Third. Then a brutally honest review of Hunted the Demon's Forge. Don't miss it.
Plus, a cheat for Bulletstorm. You know, it's interesting because Alice Madness Returns came out on the same day as Duke Nukem, and while they both aren't old games, there's actually some similarities in sort of old style of game design.
Well, we will learn more about it next time. Thanks for watching XPlay.